Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving y'all some middle grade recommendations. I personally feel like middle grade is a genre that is very underrated. At least I don't see posts or videos about them all that often. So I decided to make this middle grade recommendations video for y'all to hopefully get some recommendations. Hence the title and the point of this video, but that is my goal for today. I also have a short stack of middle grade novels in front of me that I'm going to show y'all as well. I have not read these books yet, but they are middle grade books that are on my TBR, hopefully for this year. I usually read middle grade books very quickly, so I really think that all of these are going to be very easy reads. So going into the recommendations part of this video, so the first two series that I'm going to mention are probably series that I would say are two of the most popular around. I see these books semi-frequently on Bookstagram, and I have also read all of them and have adored them. I've read them all multiple times as well and would like to do another reread of all of these books at some point within the next year or two. I also do not have any of these physical books with me. I do own a lot of them, but they are all back home in storage, so I will just be flashing the photo on the screen next to me. But the first series that I want to talk about is The Mysterious Benedict Society. I have read these books probably 3 or 4 times. I own the original trilogy, the 4th book that came out last year, and then I own the prequel that talks about Mr. Benedict and his life growing up in his boarding school, I think. It's been a long time since I've read that one, but I've read the original trilogy 3 or 4 times, and I get so attached to the plot, to the characters, to everything that goes on in those stories. And in recent time, like in the past few weeks or so, I have gone back and forth between contemplating buying the hardback editions of the books because I have all of the paperbacks, except for in the new book and then the Mr. Benedict's prequel. I own the paperback in the trilogy, and I want all of them in hardback because they're just so beautiful, and I keep reading them, and my physical paperback copies are absolutely destroyed. But I mean, they're very well loved, and I miss seeing those books so much on my shelves and stuff like that because they are currently in storage in Ohio because my family is moving, and I just really miss like getting to see them on my shelf because those books mean so much to me. I grew up reading them. I think the first time I read them was in like late elementary school, and I have read them as recently as the end of my freshman year of college, so back in 2019, in the fall of 2019. That was the last time I had read them, and I bought the 4th book that just came out. I think it was over this last summer, so I bought that book and read it as well, and I love those books. I don't think I can flash all like 4 or 5 pictures of the books at once, so I'm gonna like slowly rotate through each cover. But yes, The Mysterious Benedict Society, like I've already mentioned, is originally a trilogy, and then the author, Trenton Lee Stewart, wrote a prequel focusing on Mr. Benedict, who is the main, well, he's the guy that the books are named after, but he is the main adult character in these books. And then last year, Trenton Lee Stewart released a new book that follows the kids from the 3 books a few years later, or I think it's a few years later. I don't remember the exact timeline, but I read it and I loved it. It was really good. But to give a quick synopsis of these books, now that I'm done rambling about stuff that probably doesn't make sense to anybody but me, it's fine. So for those of y'all who don't know, The Mysterious Benedict Society is about Mr. Benedict, who is a very intelligent man, and he has an evil twin brother who is intent on taking over the world, doing bad stuff, and he's also very smart. These are 2 of probably the most intelligent men in the world, and they have almost always been enemies because they both have very different intentions in their lives, and their own personal beliefs are very different from each other because Mr. Benedict believes in good, and his evil twin, is so against anything that's good, really. So Mr. Benedict's brother creates this school on an island, and bad things are going on at that school, and Mr. Benedict wants to infiltrate and get inside scoop on what's going on there so he can stop it. So he does these tests, and he invites kids to take these tests, but he's looking for children who are alone So either they're orphans or, you know, they've run away from home or stuff like that. And so these 4 kids take this test. There's a lot of kids who take the test, but the 4 kids who pass it and who get to work with Mr. Benedict are Rainy, Katie, Sticky, and Constance. And so they form this team and they infiltrate the school and they help save the day. And then the next 2 books follow new missions because the twin brother, you know, has escaped and he wants to do more bad things. So that is the original trilogy, and then the 4th book is a new mission that takes place a few years later, and there's a new character introduced in that one who is really cute and I really liked him a lot. And then the prequel is about Mr. Benedict growing up in a boarding school. It's been a long time since I've read that book. That book and the new book are the only 2 that I've not read more than once, so I don't really remember what it's about. But I do know that it was really good and I do want to reread it. Yay, cool, that took a long time to explain that series. The next series that I want to recommend is probably another series that almost everybody has heard of, and that is A Series of Unfortunate Events series. This is a 13-book series that is wonderful. It's also a Netflix TV show, and there's a movie that's like touches on parts of the books. So I've seen them all. I love them all. I've read the books twice through. I've read the whole series 2 times and I just really love them a lot. So for those of y'all who haven't heard of the series before, this is a middle grade series about Violet, Klaus, and Sunny, who are the Baudelaire children. They are the siblings, the children of a very wealthy family, and their parents die in a mysterious fire, and so they are all alone and they get sent to live with Count Olaf, who is their relative, but like, is he really? And he is a very bad man and wants all their money, so he chases them throughout these 13 books as they get moved from house to house to house, and he wants to kill them and take all their money. I love these books, would highly recommend. They're not, like, the books are very short. Like, they're very small and they're not super thick until you get to like 10, 11, 12, and 13. So I would totally recommend reading all of these books. I love them all dearly. I think they were almost all 5-star reads for me. My favorite is the one where they're in the apartment and with like all the rooms. I love that. I love that book. That's my favorite, I think, just because I love the idea of living in an apartment with like 80 some rooms in it, like a penthouse apartment. That just always like made me so like, wow, that's so cool. So I love that. Next, I want to recommend Amari and the Night Brothers. This book is literally everywhere at the moment. I recently read this book and absolutely loved it. It was so cute. I will say that I wish there was more done with the world building and like watching Amari learn, but that's okay. I still really enjoyed it and I cannot wait for the 2nd book to come out. This is a fantasy middle grade book about Amari, whose brother Quentin went missing, and she really wants to find him even though it's been like a year since he's been gone. And so when she gets invited to the summer camp at the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, she knows that this is where her brother worked. She finds out that this is where her brother worked and she is determined to find him. So during this time there is like an evil person who wants to like do bad things, and so she has to figure out what's going on with him as well and try to stop that from happening. So I really enjoyed this book. The cover is beautiful. I love the blue. I literally just showed this same book in my April TBR video, which I will link above. But yeah, I really love this book. I recently read it like 2 weeks ago or at the very beginning of April, and I really liked it. So would definitely recommend picking this one up if you have not already. Next, I want to recommend The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane. This is a mystery middle grade duology. At least it's a duology right now. I'm not sure if there will be more books coming out about this little girl named Emmy whose mom sends her to a boarding school in England. She's originally from Connecticut, I believe, and her mom is like this very big psychologist who is getting her own TV show, I'm pretty sure. So her mom ships her off to boarding school in London, I believe, and she goes to this boarding school and she finds out that her missing father, who has been gone for like 13 years, I think, is somehow connected to the school where there is a secret society and bad people trying to do bad things. I gave the first book 4 stars, absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed the second one as well. I recommend reading both of them. Next, I want to talk about an arc that I read of a very new release called The Mysterious Disappearance of Aiden S. This is a novel about Aiden, who has disappeared for days and nobody knows where he is. There's no trace of him like going anywhere, so nobody can figure out what happened exactly. But one day he just shows up again, like in the attic, and they're like, where did you come from, like where did you go? And he tries to tell people his story kind of, but nobody believes him because his claim of like where he went is just too whimsical for people to believe. And so Aiden's brother like wants to help him figure out what really happened. And this was just a very cute and heartwarming story. I love the relationship between the brothers, and I just thought it was really fun. It was a quick read, and I'm really glad that I was able to get an arc of it. I think this book recently released, either in March or April. I think. I could be wrong though, so if it's not out, then I apologize. But I know it's a recent release, whether it's been released recently or is like recently going, or is going to be released soon. So yes. Finally, I want to talk about The Hat Makers by Tamsin Merchant. This is a fantastical, whimsical middle grade story about this girl named Cordelia, whose father and her whole family, they are hat makers with a capital H. And so in life, their job is to make hats that have like powers. And so her father goes missing when he is on a journey to like pick up new ingredients for their hats, and she needs to find him. She's absolutely determined to find him. She doesn't know like how to do this on her own necessarily, but she's gonna do it anyway. She's gonna do it, and it's gonna be great. At the same time, there is evil going on in like the kingdom of the city where they all live, and her family and all the other makers, like there's glove makers, shoemakers, like yeah, they're all in danger because something is going wrong in the kingdom, and they're all getting blamed for stuff that they didn't do. And so it's also kind of mysterious because you have this mystery element going on of like danger in the kingdom and what's going on. Will they be able to save themselves? And then you also have like this whimsical, magical world as well, because there's magic and they all, you know, make magic clothes. And it was just super cute. The cover is adorable. I love it so much. I do believe this is going to be a series, fingers crossed, because the book does kind of end on a cliffhanger about Cordelia's father. So I'm very curious about what's going to happen next. I'm keeping my eyes peeled for any announcement of a sequel, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Those are all of the middle grade recommendations I have for y'all right now. But before I sign off, I want to show y'all some middle grade books that I have right in front of me that I have recently purchased purchased, I guess. That's the only, I've bought all of these books. Two of them I bought at this used bookstore in the city that I live in, and then two of them I ordered, or one of them I got at the bookstore, and one of them I ordered online. So let's talk about those books really fast. Okay, I'll talk about the two that I got at a used bookstore first. The first one that I got is The Missing Piece of Charlie O'Reilly. This is a mystery novel about this boy who like has a brother, but he doesn't actually have a brother, but he always talks about this kid named Liam who he claims is his brother, but nobody knows what he's talking about. I believe Charlie is convinced that his brother did exist, but something happened and everybody else forgot but him. So I think he goes on a journey to figure out what happened to his brother, because he knows that Liam exists, but for some reason nobody else knows or remembers. So this is the first book that I got at this used bookstore. Second, I got The Secret Order of the Gump Street Girls. I love this cover. This book is about 4 girls who really do not like each other at all, but they are all thrown together into this huge adventure where they have to work together and become friends in order to save themselves or save the world from this evil witch. I believe this is a middle grade retelling of The Wizard of Oz, I think. There's going to be a witch involved, there's going to be evil, there's a little dog on the cover. I mean, I don't know what to expect, but I was looking through the kids section at this bookstore, and I love finding a good middle grade book, so I just saw this one and grabbed it. So, yay. The next book that I bought is The Strangers. This is a series about, well, the first book, I only have the first book. This book is about these 3 kids who hear the stories about these other 3 kids going missing, and they realize how similar, like, they all are. So like they all have the same birthdays and like they all look very alike, I'm pretty sure. And so they go on this adventure, I believe, to figure out what happened to these kids and find out like why they're all eerily the same. That was a really bad synopsis, but I really don't know much about it. But the cover was cute, and there was a sale at Target when I got this, so I bought it. And then the last book that I want to show y'all is Winter House. This is a book, I think it's a fantasy middle grade book, I believe, about this orphan girl named Elizabeth who is sent to this house in which there are a lot of mysteries and secrets being held. And so Elizabeth uncovers the secrets, and she realizes that like she's connected to this house slash hotel somehow, and it's very dangerous. I want to read all of these. So yeah, let me show you all these covers. So there's those two, and then those two, and then also of course you've got Mari, and then all of the other books that I recommended. Woohoo! Yay, awesome. Well, if you made it this far, I hope I have given you some middle grade recommendations to add to your TBR. I gave all of these books that I mentioned 4 stars or above. I absolutely love them. I don't think there's ever been a middle grade novel that I've read that I have not enjoyed very much. I think I love all of them just because of how fun and light and cute they are. So I would absolutely recommend picking up all of these. Would 100% suggest starting with The Mysterious Benedict Society if you have not read those books already. I will forever be grateful and love those books with my entire heart. I would love to do a reread of them this year. I might purchase second editions of the books so that I can have them with me when I go back to the apartment, because there's no way I can find them in my boxes of books in storage. So maybe I'll buy new editions of them to kind of replace my older copies. If you have any middle grade recommendations for me, please let me know. I love finding new books to pick up, and middle grade is a genre that I want to dive into even more this year, and hopefully do a reading vlog or 2 this summer during which I read middle grade books. So please let me know in the comments down below if you have any recommendations for me. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for more content. I try to post at least once a week, if not more than that, when I have time. And yeah, thank y'all for watching, and hopefully I will see y'all next week.